Hey everyone, I'm Ramon. Welcome to part 2 of Fingerstyle Fundamentals. Last week we talked about Pima and our plucking hand and setting up our resting position. P on string 6, I, M, and A on strings 3, 2, 1, and I emphasized the importance of planting, getting our fingers used to coming back to our strings as the main point of contact. This allows it so that we can develop our muscle memory a lot faster and eventually get to playing without even needing to look at our right hand. Now, this all sounds great, but we need to develop this further because the downside is we cut off some of our strings from ringing out. And you may have heard that in the intro there. We get this sharp cut coming from I, M, and A. And it would be a lot nicer if we could get it to sound a little bit more open. Like that, letting each voice ring as long as possible. So today we're going to be talking about sequencing, or sequential planting. This is the act of essentially just putting one finger down at a time rather than putting our IMA block down all at once. So let's jump into this. Let's start by resting P on top of our 6th string. This is going to be our stabilizer. We're not going to play with this right away. But I, M, and A are going to assume the positions of strings 3, 2, 1. From here, we're going to start our IMA sequence like normal. But at the end of this, instead of block planting all of our fingers down at one time, I want us to just put our single I finger down afterwards. So we have I, M, A, and we're planting with our I finger right after we finish plucking with A. From here, we can pluck I, or planting M down on the 2nd string. Let's pluck M, and we're planting A down on the 1st string. Then after A, just like before, we're going to plant I down right after. Altogether, the sequence is going to start looking like this. Now we're getting very nice long and sustained notes out of each of our strings. It's good to practice this with our other pattern as well. So AMI, same deal applies. You can start with your resting position block here. You go A, M, I, and instead of block planting, we're just going to plant A down right after I. We pluck with A, plant M. Pluck with M, plant I, pluck with I. You're back to the beginning, planting A. And continuing along in sequence. One thing that I didn't mention in the past lesson is playing with rhythm. So it's really important to make sure that we're keeping a steady pulse with this. Try and imagine that we're playing with a drummer or just another musician. We need to be on the same page so that we can play at the same time and make it sound like a musical experience. So in doing this, I highly recommend either saying the finger letters out loud while you play, or because we're playing like groupings of 3 notes, maybe just counting to 3 while you do it. This time, for this example, I'm going to give us a count-in, and let's practice our IMA sequencing together, okay? Let's go 1, 2, 3. I, M, A, I, M, A, I, M, A, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Same thing with A, M, I. Let's go 1, 2, 3. A, M, I, A, M, I, A, M, I. All right, I think you get the gist of this. Now, Let's actually try and start adding some music into this. Let's make it a little bit more musical. We focused a lot on our right hand, and we're still going to continue developing these techniques. This is a fingerstyle fundamentals after all, but we can't completely omit our fretting hand or our left hand. So for this, you can grab any note on your first string. For this example, I'm going to grab an F sharp, so 2nd fret of the 1st string, and my right hand is going to continue playing the sequence, and we want to listen to make sure that we can hear this note ringing out as long as possible through everything we play. So I'm going to go I, am, A, I. You can really hear that note ringing out over our other voices. And this is the beauty of sequencing. Not only does it allow all of our notes to ring out over each other, but my fingers are staying one note ahead of where I'm playing at all times because I'm constantly getting them used to going to the next string. On top of that, I can choose which one of those strings I want to be more important than the others. I can pluck a little bit extra on that finger and really get that to pop out over the other fingers. Or you could think about just plucking lighter with the other fingers if you already feel like you're really tense with your plucking. Same thing applies. Try this the opposite way with AMI, doing something like. If you know some chords, you could throw something like an A minor in here and try and emphasize a different finger. In this case, let's see if we can bring out the I. Staying rhythmic, all while doing this. I am A. I am A. Anyway, those are just a few quick examples. We'll get to talking more about the left hand later in this course, but the last thing that's important to do with this, and with all music, is to apply this in an actual piece of music. Recently, I've posted a transcription of a piece called Spanish Romance. This is a beginner's variation, so I skip the parts with the bar chord and that stretch that comes in the B section of that melody, and I just focus on the parts with the open strings with that nice melody up top. This. There's tab in the video so you can follow along, but I would highly recommend putting some of these techniques into actual pieces of music. Let me know if you have any recommendations on stuff you'd like me to transcribe and put tabs up for. But some other examples would be like House of the Rising Sun. Hallelujah is another good one that comes to mind. There's a bunch of them out there. Some are maybe less beginner friendly than others. I feel like Landslide might be another good one, but when I was playing a lot of classical music, one of my favorite pieces to practice sequencing with was a piece called Snowflight by Andrew York. He's a modern composer, he's still alive. You can find recordings of him playing his music, and it's a really beautiful piece. I can play a little bit of the intro. It's a really pretty piece, and it's mostly beginner friendly. There is some stuff with the left hand, there's some stretches with the pinky, but for the most part, you're only fretting one or two notes at a time, so it's a really great piece to practice. So I highly recommend you checking out that, but that is all for today's lesson. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. But if you found this beneficial, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye.